I got a big goddamn problem with the news. You ready for this? The news is completely manipulated. Everything you hear every single day is designed by corporate media to do one thing and one thing only.
Jesus.
To keep you living in fear.
Oh, fear?
Total fear. Fear so you'll go out and you'll spend money on things. Things you probably don't even need. Things you probably already have six of, so that their advertisers will keep buying ads on their stations. I'll tell you one more thing. You ready for this? I'll do this all day, man.
I hope Pakistan is listening to me. I hope Indian Muslims are listening to me. But most of all, I hope Kashmir is listening to me. May Allah grant that these words may reach you. You cannot reach out to the Hindu world to try to bring about a change in the strategic environment in order to prevent the present Indian government from taking India into nuclear war with Pakistan. Foolishly so. You cannot reach out to the Hindu world when the Hindu world is still bleeding from wounds inflicted by Muslims. It's a similar situation. What the Mughals ruled over India did for so many hundred years is exactly the same thing that what the Ottoman rule did over the Orthodox Christian world for so many hundred years. When will you learn to think? When will you learn to return to the Quran as the primary source of your guidance and knowledge? When will you do that? Instead of doing that, you are following people beating the drums of Ghazwatul Hind like fools. Go to the Quran, not to the Hadith, and let the Quran sit in judgment over Hadith. Islam is not imperialism. We do not have the right to invade another country, another people, and rule over them without their permission. No, we don't. This was not jihad, that the Mughals invaded India and then ruled over India. That was a bogus jihad. This is Imran Hussein speaking. And I don't care two peanuts for those who oppose me. The truth must be proclaimed. This was a bogus jihad which led to Muslim rule over India. Did the Hindu world invite you to come and rule over them? Do you have the invitation card? If you do, kindly show it to me. When a Hindu invites the Muslims to come and rule over them, the Hindus should welcome the Muslims and say, thank you for coming to rule over us. We invited you. Instead, Muslim rule over India has left a Hindu world with bitterness and hatred for Islam. That's right. If I were a Hindu, I would hate Islam. Let me repeat that for you so that that thick skull of yours might get shaken up. If I were a Hindu, I would hate Islam. Why? Because I perceive Islam to be an imperialist power. What do the Muslims have the right? Who gave you the right to rule over India? No, that was not Islam. The similar thing happened with the Ottoman Empire. In fact, it was Dajjal, and it was setting you up to end up with what you now have in your hands. A Hindu world which hates you, and an Orthodox Christian world which hates you because of the conduct of the Mughal Empire and because of the conduct of the Ottoman Empire. My field is Islam. I am a scholar of Islam, Islamic scholar, but in addition to that, I have the proper methodology for studying the Quran and the Sunnah, insofar as it pertains to international affairs. This is my specialization. Islam and international affairs. So I have studied history differently. And I am the one who is at the forefront in the study of Dajjal. Tell me of any scholar that you know of who is lecturing and teaching on the subject of Dajjal, conducting seminars on Dajjal. Anyone else? Writing books on Dajjal? Is there anyone else? And yet you're criticizing me. I am doing this for you to teach you. I am 77 years of age. Tomorrow I'll be gone, Allah calls me away. Who will you have to guide you? In the same way that I have approached the Orthodox Christian world, one man alone I have done it, one man alone, nobody had to help me. And I went to the Orthodox Christian world and I told them that what the Ottomans did to you all was wrong. It was a bogus jihad. It was oppression. And I denounce Ottoman oppression. When the Ottoman Empire did something right and good, I say it's good. But when they do something that is bad, I denounce it. And I said what the Ottomans did in taking Hagia Sophia, the Orthodox Christian church, a cathedral, and converting it into a masjid was shameful, disgraceful, sinful. And when we conquer Constantinople, in Akhirul Zaman, it's coming soon, we'll return that Christian Orthodox church to you, that cathedral to you. We'll apologize to you. We return Hagia Sophia to you, and we'll call the name of the city will once again be Constantinople, because that's the name used by the Prophet ﷺ. And the Orthodox Christian world, one man has done it by Allah's kindness and grace. The Orthodox Christian world is changing after 600 years of hatred for Islam. And now they're showing signs of love and affection and willingness to build fraternal relations. Yes, I'm able to sit down and speak. I go to the University of Belgrade. I've been there twice. And I've lectured in the auditorium of the University of Belgrade, to a packed auditorium. And I was told that when I was lecturing, they were crying in that auditorium. This is what Allah's kindness I have been able to do with the Orthodox Christian world. One man. Nobody else to help me. What we need is the same approach towards the Hindu world. The Muslims must recognize, call a spade a spade. If you want to change your strategic environment, the beginning of that process is to recognize that Muslim rule over India was wrong, was unjust, was oppression, was Islamic imperialism. Call a spade a spade. Apologize to the Hindu world for Muslim rule over India. Bite the bullet. If it is the truth, then proclaim it as the truth regardless of consequences. And I am declaring to you that Muslim rule over India was oppression, was unjust, was a bogus jihad. If there were many things which were good about Muslim rule over India, that does not change the fact that the Hindus never invited you to rule over them. No. And you do not have the right to go and rule over them without their permission. No. They never invited you to come and rule over them. And so the first step of the process, which should begin now, because this is the first window of opportunity that Kashmir has received in 70 years. And from the Caribbean island of Trinidad, thousands of miles away, I am sending this message to Kashmir, because I cannot come. The Indian government would not allow me to come, no. I cannot come to you. Probably might not be able to come to Pakistan as well, but I can be of more valuable to you. I can do more for you from outside of Kashmir than inside of Kashmir. When I go to London and I meet with the Kashmiris in London, it's possible for me to then expand on my analysis for them, and they can convey it to you. But this is all I have to confine myself at this time. I can't go beyond this. No, it's not possible to speak more in public.
We're living in a world, these bloody times. Evil exists, horror exists, the great game continues. Most governments have very little patience. What is government anyway? Does government have a heartbeat? Does government have 10 fingers and 10 toes? The government is capable of vengeance. The government is capable of slaughter.
We prefer to ensure that there are amicable fraternal relations between Hindus and Muslims. I will give you some news now, you're going to be surprised. Those of you in Pakistan whose hearts are filled up to the brim with hatred for the Hindus and maligning the Hindus and saying this and that and the other about Hindus.
Because you're clowns, not soldiers.
There was a terrorist act in which the Indian military was attacked in Kashmir, and that some 40 Indian soldiers were killed. And they blamed Pakistan. They blamed terrorist organizations in Pakistan for the attack on the Indian armed forces, which killed 40 of their soldiers. I don't know whether these soldiers were sleeping. Did they take sleeping tablets that they were sleeping? Or were they told to go to sleep? I don't know that you could kill 40 Indian soldiers when India has been in Kashmir for so many decades now, waging a totally futile war on the Kashmiri people, oppressing them in a manner which is shameful and disgraceful, not worthy certainly of the Hindu religion, no. The Hindu religion cannot be blamed, not at all, for what is taking place in Kashmir. It has nothing to do with the Hindu religion. It's the Indian government, the misguided Indian government. And so we got the news. And from the time I got this news, I said to myself, well, then you're going to have 40 funerals now, if you have 40 dead. Over there on 9/11, there were 3,000 dead. And when we went to find out the names of the 3,000 who were killed in 9/11, and the funerals, how many of them were Christians and how many of them were Muslims. If they were Muslims, you'd have Salatul. Forgive me for laughing, because it's so funny. You have Salatul Janazah. And if they were Jews, they'll have Jewish funerals. But you're not allowed to ask. No, this is secret information for the 9/11. So we don't have to ask, was it 40 or was it 400 or was it 4,000 who were killed? How many funerals take place? What I'm saying is that the same footprints that were there in 9/11 are the same footprints in this so-called terrorist attack in Kashmir. And the opposition, the Indian opposition, the political opposition in India is smelling the same thing and asking questions. Yes, even the political opposition in India is asking questions because they're smelling the same rat that was there in 9/11. That was a false flag act of terrorism meant to advance a political agenda that the Zionists had. The Anglo-American Judeo-Christian Zionist Alliance had a political agenda. They wanted to pursue it in Afghanistan, they wanted to pursue it in Iraq, they wanted to pursue it in Syria and so on. And they needed this 9/11 to pursue this, advance this political agenda. They wanted the Arab Spring and so on. And then, lo and behold, the overwhelming majority of the American people have now recognized that 9/11 was a false flag terrorist attack. It was a mountain of lies. The only people who have not recognized that as yet are the scholars of Islam who have backbones made of recycled paper. They are the only ones who have not recognized it. Now that I have laughed enough, let us go to the serious part of the subject. The serious part of the subject is that it is now as plain as daylight that the present Indian government is in a strategic alliance with Israel, and as a consequence it is in a strategic alliance with the American CIA. I hope you're listening to me in Moscow. I hope you're listening to me in Beijing. The Indian government is in a strategic alliance with Israel, and therefore with the CIA. And this was crazy on their part. This was far more crazy than 9/11. 9/11 did not and could not take us to nuclear war. No. 9/11 was meant to pave the way for conventional wars. But this one in Kashmir was meant to pave the way for nuclear war. And so the Indian government has to be recognized as crazy with a capital C. And this is dangerous. This is dangerous. And so we need to recognize the grave danger of this. There has never been a moment with greater danger, I believe. From the day India and Pakistan were given their so-called independence by Britain, because they're not really independent. No, once Britain controls the money system, and the Judeo-Christian Zionists control the money system of the world, you're not independent, no. Pakistan are beggars, you have to go to Saudi Arabia, and the Pakistanis probably were not too happy about doing this to invite Mohammed bin Salman and give a red carpet treatment. You're beggars, what can you do? You have to do it because you need the money. So this has to be recognized as the most dangerous moment in the history of the subcontinent since Britain handed over power to the Hindus and to the Muslims, and so-called power.
See, I think them police, politicians, me not trust none of them boy, the road boy.